afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Peter Glidden, your friendly neighborhood naturopathic physician, encouraging you and everyone in your family to fire your MD now. I mean, how crazy are we in this country? This law that the Obama administration is trying to pass, and look, I don't care if you're a Democrat, I don't care if you're a Republican, I'm keeping this program politically neutral. However, when issues come up, I don't care what administration is behind it, if it sticks in my craw, I'm going to talk about it. I am a nonpartisan, free entity talker. I just made that phrase up. What the Obama administration is trying to do is trying to mandate that everyone in this country get health insurance. Everyone has to get health insurance. Now, health insurance isn't going to cover naturopathic medicine. Health insurance isn't going to cover chiropractic medicine. It's not going to cover acupuncture. It's not going to cover Ayurvedic medicine. It's not going to cover botanical medicine. It's not going to cover anything other than MD-directed, pharmaceutical-centrist medicine, because that's what the predominant type of medicine is in the United States. We've been brainwashed for 100 years into believing that the MD is the undisputed emperor and king of all things medical, and it's nonsense. So the administration is trying to pass a law which makes it mandatory to buy access to a system of medicine that's the leading cause of death in the United States. That's right. Look it up on fireyourmdnow.com. That's fireyourmdnow.com. Look it up. It's called Death by Medicine, a 25-page report, extremely well-referenced, which outlines the startling statistic that MD-directed therapeutics are the leading cause of death in the United States by leaps and by bounds, not just by a little bit, but by a lot a bit. And I just made that phrase up, too. And we have people outside the White House or outside the Supreme Court where they're debating this bill now, and hopefully they'll strike it down because it's nonsense. These people are angry because they're thinking that the Supreme Court's going to knock it down. They want this legislation to pass. You've got to be kidding me. This is how far down the rabbit hole we've gone. This is how deeply embedded we are into this cultural myth that the MD is the undisputed king of medicine, even though their therapeutics hurt us, even though their therapeutics have failed to help us. Heart disease, there's just as much heart disease now as there was 100 years ago. There's just as much cancer now. Alzheimer's has risen from obscurity to the 6th leading cause of death in exactly the same time frame that statin drugs have been prescribed. Obesity is going through the roof. A third of adults are obese. And it's tripled in our kids in the last 10 years. Life expectancy has gotten shorter. High blood pressure has gotten higher. No pun intended. Our health is going to hell in a handbasket, and we're begging for more. I swear to God, someone could put on a white coat, strap a stethoscope around their neck, and tell you, Coumadin. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's give rat poison. Here was another good idea, Premarin. Premarin was the largest selling medicine in this country for approximately 30 years. It was a synthetic hormone made from 1 part human hormone and 2 parts, wait for it, horse hormone. Equilin and equilase plus estradiol makes up Premarin, which was a synthetic hormone, 2 parts horse hormone, 1 part human hormone. That never existed in nature before. You can bet your bottom dollar on that. So MDs dreamed up this brand new molecule. They made it. I think it was Pfizer Pharmaceutical that made it. I might be wrong on that. In any event, they prescribed it to hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of American women for a non-medical condition, menopause. Menopause isn't an illness. It's a time of life. For goodness sake, puberty is not a disease. It's a time of life. Well, menopause isn't a disease either, but your MD convinced you to take a synthetic hormone that was 1 part human hormone and 2 parts horse hormone. By the way, that's how Premarin got its name, because the horse hormone is extracted from the urine of pregnant mares. Pregnant mare, Premarin, pregnant mare, Premarin. That's how it got its name. Only 3 problems with Premarin. Breast cancer, uterine cancer, and thrombophlebitis, which is an inflammation of the blood vessels. There were about 17 other side effects. You know what this means? This means your MD convinced someone in your family, or maybe even you, to take a synthetic hormone that was 2 parts horse hormone and 1 part human hormone. They convinced you to take it for a non-medical condition, and it gave you cancer. Gave hundreds of thousands of women cancer, and nobody went to jail. And we're lining up for more. We're lining up for more of that rat poison. We are actually protesting in front of the Supreme Court, begging the government to make us buy health insurance to gain access to a system of medicine that's the leading cause of death in the United States. You've got to be kidding me. War is peace, I guess, right? Constant surveillance is liberty, I guess, right? Having no rights, that's the cost of living in a free society. Having access to a type of medicine that's the leading cause of death in the United States, that's just good economic, medical, scientific sense. You've got to be kidding me. Max Planck said it best, science progresses one funeral at a time, which means that scientists, medical doctors, MDs, are so ensconced in their own dogma, they are so wedded to what they were taught in medical school, which is reinforced every day by pharmaceutical representatives coming to your doctor's office. The pharmaceutical industry spends $50,000 per doctor per year in free stuff and PR. $50,000 a year. That's more than most people in this country make in a year. And the pharmaceutical company spends that on your doctor, wooing them into pharmaceutical medicine. You think the pharmaceutical rep's going to tell your doctor about vitamins? No. You think your doctor gives a damn about vitamins? No. Your doctor doesn't know anything about anything other than drugs and surgery, and you run to them when you are sick because you're nuts. You know, actually, it's not your fault. It's the fault of the culture. It's the fault of the pharmaceutical industry. It's the fault of whoever passed the law legislating all the other medical professions to the back of the bus. These things happened about 100 years ago, 80, 90, 100 years ago. The Flexner Report and the coalition that was built between the pharmaceutical companies, the Rockefeller Foundation, the Carnegie Institute, medical schools and hospitals all around this country. You have been played. And if you think that your MD is the go-to person to help you recover your health, you're wrong. I'm sorry, folks. I'm throwing political correctness out the window. 2 plus 2 does not equal 5. If you think 2 plus 2 equals 5, you're wrong. If you think your MD is the best person to go to help you recover your health, you are wrong. Facts are a stubborn thing. And yet, you know, this myth is so deeply embedded in our culture that we're actually protesting. We're arguing that the government should make us pay for health insurance. You got to be kidding me. Well, that's a good business to be in, though, right? Don't you wish you were a medical doctor? Don't you wish that the government made it mandatory? Don't you wish that the government paid your customers to come and see you? Don't you wish that? Don't you wish that they made it mandatory that they buy some type of policy that they could use to garner your services? Wouldn't that be great? Well, that's what happens to medicine. It's a gigantic for-profit juggernaut, and it's not going away anytime soon. You have to take your own health into your own hands. You have to swallow the blue pill, snap out of the matrix, stop paying your insurance premiums, use that money instead to buy vitamins and minerals and nutritional supplements, to educate yourself about good food, bad food. Pick yourself up by your bootstraps, recover your health, invest in yourself. Properly applied vitamin and mineral, essential fatty acid, amino acid, nutritional supplements will save your life, and they will prevent the occurrence of most chronic illness. 200 micrograms of selenium, which is a mineral. Selenium, it's like calcium. It's found in the dirt. It's cheaper than dirt because it comes from dirt. Reduces the occurrence of breast cancer by 82%. Reduces the occurrence of prostate cancer 64%. Reduces the occurrence of colon cancer 69%. Reduces the occurrence of lung cancer by 39%. This means that every girl in the United States took one selenium supplement every day, starting at birth, or actually starting in utero. In one generation, we'd eliminate breast cancer by 82%. And why aren't the Susan G. Komen women marching for that? Well, I don't know. They'd rather support and promote the medical profession that hacks their breasts off. Oh, that's a good idea. You know, I guess you could argue that if there was an epidemic of hand psoriasis going around this country, one solution would be just to chop off your hands. Well, you're right. That's a solution. But it's a little archaic. It's a little outdated, as is Premarin, as is rat poison, as are most of the therapeutics offered to you by your neighborhood drug doctor. 866-582-9933. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to your health, it's what you don't know that's going to heal you or that's going to hurt you. And regretfully, the way that education's been manufactured in this country, the way that the media interprets stuff, we all are completely clueless about what it takes to be healthy and what it takes to be not healthy. We've got it completely backwards. I'll give you an example. For the last 50 years, MDs have been telling you to not eat butter and not eat salt because it has a negative action on your heart, supposedly, right? Well, in the 50 years that we've been on butter-free and fat-free and salt-free diets, the incidence of heart disease has remained unchanged. Just as many people get heart disease now as they ever did. However, while we've been on butter-free, cholesterol-free, salt-free diets, Alzheimer's disease has risen from obscurity to the sixth leading cause of death. Erectile dysfunction is everywhere. Just look at the Cialis commercials. If they weren't selling that stuff, they wouldn't put the commercials on the air. And you know why that direct-to-consumer advertising is done? Because it works. I mean, it works. It produces money. It produces revenue for the drug companies. I mean, what the heck does the doctor even need to go to medical school for? The patient's going to come in and tell him what he needs, right? Ooh, I saw it on TV. So while we've been cholesterol-free, butter-free, and salt-free, heart disease has remained unchanged, but erectile dysfunction is increasing, as are hot flushes of menopause. What do all of these things have in common? Well, cholesterol. There's a lot of cholesterol in butter. There's a lot of cholesterol in cholesterol-high foods. Your central nervous system is made from cholesterol. That's what it's made from. All of the insulation that wraps around all of the nerves in your body, well, that's made from cholesterol. 75% of the white matter in your brain is cholesterol. Over 90%, 95%, I believe, of the part of the brain that's affected by Alzheimer's is made from cholesterol. And all of your sex hormones are made from cholesterol. So guess what? When you dry up cholesterol with statin drugs, fat-free diets, and exercise, your body doesn't have the raw materials it needs to make its sex hormones. So if you're a man, you can't make testosterone, so you have a problem getting an erection. If you're a woman, you can't make progesterone, you have a problem with hot flushes. The only reason you have a problem with these things is because you went to an MD. That's why. That's why it's happening. You took somebody's advice and followed their lead, and it hurt you. And yet, you continue to pay to gain access to their services. I mean, it's unbelievable to me. It's really crazy. And, you know, the salt thing. In 1958, a Harvard doctor published a paper that proved there's no relationship between salt and high blood pressure. There's none. And if you get swelling in your extremities that MDs think is caused by salt, that's nonsense. Swelling in the extremities is a lack of protein in the blood. If you have swelling in your extremities, it's either a side effect of a medicine. It just happened with a patient of mine. She had congestive heart failure. She came to see me for help, and we're moving right along. The heart's getting better. Blood pressure's getting better. She's dumping water, everything's great, and then all of a sudden the swelling in the legs started to come back. And it was impossible to me because of what she was doing. She was doing everything correctly. She was taking salt. She was taking protein in the diet. Swelling in the extremities is not enough protein in the blood. She was doing everything that she needed. So I said, well, you're still taking 3 prescription medicines, right? She said, yeah. So we looked up the side effects, and there it was, edema of the extremities. She stopped taking the medication, by the way, which her pharmacist didn't want her to do. Gee, I wonder why. And the swelling in the extremities went away. So it's either a side effect of medications or there's not enough protein in the blood. And if there's not enough protein in the blood, it's because you're not eating enough protein or you're not absorbing enough protein. If you're not absorbing enough protein, it's because you're eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats. And you're on a salt-free diet because your stomach needs salt to have healthy and strong stomach acid. And we're going to talk about the wheat, barley, rye, and oats thing because, it's like kicking a dog when you're down, right? We're eating all of the wrong foods all of the time because we don't know any better. And then when we get sick, we take a drug which manages the symptoms, gives us side effects, and then we die. Everybody looks at me like I've got 2 heads when I tell them to fire their MD. It's because people haven't thought it through, and they haven't seen what I've seen. And, there's a cultural myth that we're deeply embedded in here, just like everybody years ago thought slavery was okay, right? Well, if you've ever had fantasies about going back in time and, helping to free the slaves, then what you need to do right now is to fire your MD. Call us, visit my website, fireyourmdnow.com, or call me up after the show 24/7, my toll-free number, 855-347-3696. That's 855-FIRE-MY-MD. It's 855-FIRE-MY-MD. Give that number a call. You'll get a pre-recorded message. It'll tell you what to do, give you information about how you can start to take control of your health. We have information also at the website, fireyourmdnow.com. If you want to talk to me during the radio show about anything relative to medicine or health, you have a health issue, you have something that's bugging you, you have something that you just need to know, you want information about anything having to do with medicine, give me a call. The toll-free number from anywhere in this country is 866-582-9933. That's how you can reach me at this show, 866-582-9933. Give me a call. I'd love to talk to you. Now, if you looked up at the sun, you would make the reasonable conclusion that it is the sun that's moving around the earth. And that's what people did for hundreds of years until Galileo came along and said, hey, everybody, it's the earth that's moving, it's not the sun. And they excommunicated him and threw him in jail until he recanted. Well, every once in a while, somebody has to come along with the truth and break the back of the current dogma. And that's exactly what Dr. Wallach and myself and Ben Fuchs and every other member of the FDI Longevity Company do. That's what we do. You need to just think this through. Lean on our experience. Look, if you want advice about what you can do to help your body recover its health with vitamins and minerals, botanical medicine, and nutritional supplements, what are you going to do? You going to go to a pharmacist? No. They have no training. They don't have a clue about that. Even though most of their drugs came from plants, they're clueless about botanical medicine. You going to go to an MD? No. The MD has zero training in medical nutrition, zero training in botanical medicine, zero training in acupuncture, homeopathy. They don't know anything about it. Zero. They don't know anything about it. You're going to go to the health food store owner? Now, look, I love health food store owners, but they're not doctors. They're health food store owners. They're retail business operators. They might have read a couple of books about vitamin C or, the life story of Linus Pauling. It's not a bad thing. But they don't have the knowledge base to help you recover. What are you going to do? Do an online search? Let me ask you something. If you had a bad tooth, would you do an online search to try to figure out how to fix it on your own? No. But if you have high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes or arthritis or osteoporosis and you're tired of prescription medicines, that's exactly what you do. You try to figure it out on your own. You're a knucklehead. Stop it. Bad dog. No biscuit. Don't do that. The only reason that you do that is you don't know there are alternatives. You don't know that there are licensed physicians trained in this stuff. And that's what we do. I have 23 years of clinical experience helping people get so healthy they can stop taking all of their prescription medicine. Let me say that one more time. I have 23 years as a licensed physician of clinical experience helping people to get so healthy that they can stop taking all of their prescription medicines, and they can do it safely. They can do it effectively, and they can do it affordably. We are the go-to people for everything having to do with holistic health. And my colleague, Dr. Wallach, wrote the book, literally, on medical nutrition. It's in the Smithsonian. It's called The Diseases of Exotic Animals. His research that took place over 12 years, cost $25 million, eliminated 900 illnesses in the animal kingdom. It's why bacon and eggs doesn't cost $200 a plate. Because the animals that ranchers raise that we eat don't get sick like you do. Your dog has better health than you do because your dog is taking all of the nutrients its body needs in its dog food every day because of Dr. Wallach's research. Really, ladies and gentlemen, this is not rocket science. Your body has the need for 91 essential nutrients, 91 essential nutrients, and you can't get all of those nutrients from food. You can't do it. It's impossible. You must supplement. If you do not supplement, it is only a matter of time until your body runs out of something, something breaks, so you get high blood pressure or fibromyalgia or osteoporosis. Then you go to a drug doctor, and guess what? He throws a drug at it. And on we go, quickly into the night, quickly into our graves, which is why this generation, according to the United States Department of Health and Human Services, is supposed to be the shortest-lived generation ever. Why? Because we're letting the MDs practice on us. MDs do not practice health care. They practice disease management. If you want disease management, go to an MD. You want to shorten your lifespan, go to an MD. You want to have zero outcomes with cancer, go to an MD. You want to hurt yourself, go to an MD, because chances are that you will. The leading cause of death in this country is what your MD does. And, you know, they just don't know what they don't know. You know, the sword cuts both ways. Wheat, barley, rye, and oats are 4 of the worst foods anybody can eat. Let me say that again. Whole grains are some of the worst foods you can eat. Oatmeal will kill you. Cheerios will kill you. Stop eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats. It means beer. Stop it. Why do you think you get a gut when you drink beer? Well, it's one of the reasons. There's a protein in wheat, barley, and rye called gluten. There's a protein in oatmeal. It's a long, complicated biochemical term. I'm not going to bore you with it. But it's the protein in the grains that are the problem. The protein in wheat, barley, and rye is called gluten. And the protein in oatmeal is not gluten, but it's also bad for you. Why is it bad for you? Because a protein is it's like a string of pearls, protein. Each of the pearls in this metaphor is an amino acid. Proteins are long chains of amino acids all strung together, just like pearls on a necklace. And amino acids are essential nutrients. Your body needs them. Your body needs amino acids to make its central nervous system healthy and its muscles healthy and its immune system healthy. Amino acids are a very important component of overall health. So the same way that oil is a very important component to the health of your automobile engine. Amino acids are extremely important. We eat protein so that the body can break that chain and liberate the amino acids. That's why we eat protein. so that the body can have access to the amino acids that those proteins are made out of, and that happens in the stomach. If you have really strong stomach acid, if you have healthy stomach acid, your body can rip proteins apart into their constituent amino acids. If you have weak stomach acid, that ain't going to happen. But even if you have strong stomach acid, the chances are slim that your stomach acid is able to rip apart the proteins of wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Because those modern man-made molecules, and by the way, this is not Old Testament wheat that I'm talking about. It's Monsanto's monoclonally hybridized wheat. There is a great deal of difference. We're not eating Old Testament wheat. We're not eating King Tut's wheat. Bring me some King Tut's wheat and I'll make you a millionaire in a month. We're not eating it. It's not the same as what they ate in the Old Testament. It's not. It's not the same animal at all. But I digress. When we eat wheat, barley, rye, and oats, that chain of pearls remains unbroken. Now, if you've ever been vacuuming your house, and, you stuck the vacuum under the couch, and there was a necklace under there, or, or a chain of pearls, or something on a long string, when the vacuum cleaner sucks it up, it clogs the whole thing. Well, that's exactly what happens in the next stage of digestion, when you get a long, undigested protein chain tumbling into your small intestine, which is immediately after the stomach, right? In human anatomy, it goes your mouth, your throat, your stomach, your small intestine, and then your colon, where everything gets pooped out. The small intestine is where everything gets absorbed. It's your stomach's job to break stuff down, and it's your intestine's job to absorb it, more or less. The tissue in the intestinal tract that absorbs nutrients are called villi. They're like little octopus tentacles. They reach out and grab the nutrients that your stomach has digested, and they pull them into the bloodstream. It's a pretty awesome arrangement, quite frankly. The wisdom of nature never ceases to amaze me. And by the way, unless you're an MD, it is impossible to study human anatomy and physiology and not be convinced in the existence of God. The things that are happening in the human body right now are unbelievably intricate and sophisticated and legendary from my point of view. That's a topic for a whole nother rant. But my point with the digestive tract is, your small intestine, it's its job to pull nutrients into the body, but when it gets a big chain of nutrients instead of individual pearls, it gums up the works. So when you eat wheat, barley, rye, and oats, just like the vacuum sucking up a chain of pearls instead of the individual pearls, it can do that okay, but it tries to suck up the whole necklace, it's going to foul up the works, and the engine's going to overheat. Well, the same thing happens in your gut. The protein of wheat, barley, rye, and oats destroys the tissue in your gut that absorb nutrients. That's not good. So the more wheat, barley, rye, and oats you eat, the more destruction happens in your intestinal milieu. And the less able you are to absorb nutrients. Now, there's not enough nutrients in the food anyway, and now you've just destroyed some of the tissue that absorbs them by eating whole grains. By the way, that's why Michael Jackson died. Because his nutritionist was recommending for the last 10 years of his life, whole grains, Michael. Oh, you need to eat your kashi. You need to eat your whole grains, Michael. Everybody knows whole grains are good for you. You need more fiber, Michael. Well, guess what? His villi were so destroyed, he couldn't even absorb drugs. So the pain medication that they were feeding him stopped working. He couldn't absorb it orally because his intestinal tract was wiped out. They had to inject pain medication. Why was he even taking pain medication? Because he went to the wrong doctor. If he'd have come to me, he'd still be alive. We were the same age, Michael Jackson and I. He chose poorly. And so do we, but only because we don't know any better. Well, guess what? The jig is up. I'm flipping on the light switches, ladies and gentlemen. Stop eating wheat, barley, rye, and oats. Take the Dr. Glidden challenge. Eliminate those foods for 10 days. And then on day 11, just eat wheat, barley, rye, and oats. See how you feel. If you make it to lunch without feeling like crap, I'll eat my hat. And so it goes, and so it goes, and so it goes. We all spiral down slowly into a decrepitude of old age, illness, and death, while gladly giving the MD as much money as we possibly can. If you look at a map of the United States, the majority of people in the South, the old Confederate States, below the Mason-Dixon line, south in through Florida, in the old Confederate States, the people that live in that part of the country have the shortest lifespans of any U.S. citizens, more or less. The Indian people living on Indian reservations are neck and neck with them, but the vast majority, demographically, of people in the United States with extremely short lifespans live in the old Confederate South, which is, by the way, where the highest concentration of MDs is. The highest per capita concentration of practicing MDs is in the same area. Why? Because MDs are like vultures. They go to where people are dying. Why? Because the average American spends the most money in health care in the last couple of months of their life, last few years of their life, in this desperate attempt to stave off, the old angel of death. We can't have that now, can we? I'm not advocating people die, ladies and gentlemen, but what I am telling you is the startling fact that you are nothing more than an ATM machine to the medical industry in the United States, and they can't wait for you to get old. They're drooling about it, because they know that's when they're going to make their most bang for their buck. The most amount of money is going to be spent, you're going to spend, they're going to make in the last years and months of your life, and all this heroic medicine. It's nonsense. And yet we put up with it. I don't know what to do, ladies and gentlemen. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And if you'd sat behind my desk even for just 1 month, the massive amount of human suffering that I have seen, which is caused by MDs, it's not caused by genetics, it's not caused by bad food choices, it's not caused by voodoo curse or by the aging process, it's caused because people went to the wrong doctor. That's why we're so sick. Because MD-directed pharmaceutical medicine in the treatment of chronic disease doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's why we're losing the middle class. Because employers can't afford to pay a living wage and health care. Why is health care so expensive? Because it doesn't work. And, we're taking the wrong medicine, we're taking the wrong dog for the hunt, and we're eating all the wrong foods, but we don't know it. Everybody thinks whole grains are great. They're not. Everybody thinks oatmeal is great. It's not. As a matter of fact, I'm here to tell you that butter is good for you. Salt is good for you. Rare red meat is good. Butter and lard. I want you to eat meat. I want you to eat chicken. I want you to eat chicken skin. I want you to eat butter. I want you to eat all these things because they're healthy for you. And guess what? The French, who do eat all these things, are the second healthiest nation in the world. Gee, I wonder why. Can you imagine a French chef cooking with margarine? Yeah, can you imagine that? No. They're going to use cream. They're going to use butter. They're going to use salt. They're going to use all the stuff your doctor told you is bad for you because your doctor has his head up his you-know-what. You need to stop listening to them. The grain consumption in the United States has increased by 65% in the last 40 years. That, in my opinion, is why there's so much autism. Autism is startling now. Startling how many kids are born autistic. Why? Because this generation of mothers giving birth right now has eaten the largest amount of whole grains of any generation. So this generation of mothers is unbelievably undernutrified. Because their entire life they've been destroying the tissue in their small intestine that absorbs nutrients. So by the time they get pregnant and the kid starts to develop, he's developing in an undernutrified womb. Gee, I wonder why there's so much autism.